I'm Master Burnett. I'm the Director of Strategy for Brave New Talent. Prior to joining Brave New Talent, I was an industry advisor on talent management best practices for about 12 years, servicing predominantly the Global 500 in about 46 different countries.
Cool, thanks, Master. And what are you kind of seeing in terms of recruitment innovation at the moment? Who's doing interesting stuff? What vendors are out there? What's kind of catching your eye, as it were?
So there's a number of things that I think that are kind of catching on right now in terms of recruiting innovation. The larger social tools, the social networks themselves have all been around for just over 7 years, and so a lot of the early adopters have taken their learnings, and those learnings are now becoming the foundation for next generation products. But you still see a lot of the early followers of the early adopters embracing approaches and tactics that we know from the early adopters don't work.
Okay.
So we're at that point now where all the followers are doing all the things that the early adopters have just learned don't produce the ROI we're looking for. There's a whole string of solutions and tools that were built on the early thoughts, and so those organizations right now are really just feeding off of those followers. In the next generation space, we're really starting to see that social recruiting and social innovation requires organizations to think outside of just the recruiting transaction. And that's where the real innovation, I think, is starting to occur. When we look at all of the tools that are coming online to help individuals understand true employment brands for an organization, i.e. garnering access to the employees, being able to look at what those employees are saying about those organizations, beyond the rating sites that have existed for quite some time, it's really providing a more holistic look inside the enterprise. That's quite fascinating.
And how do you think those tools and those kind of approaches and the social web are going to change the way that companies think about employment branding?
That's a really good question. Organizations are going to be forced to realize that an employer brand is not a statically defined concept that they come up with as part of a committee in HR and say, this is our employment brand. The employment brand really is the perception of various populations that you have to recruit from. And the fact is, the folks that work in your marketing function are going to experience your business very differently than the folks who work in, say, your finance function. You don't have the same employer brand with different populations. Employer brand perception is unique to various job families, and organizations are going to become cognizant of that, and they're going to have to start to manage that based on job families that are most critical to them, because it's not something you'll be able to do across the enterprise pervasively.
Okay, and how do you think the growth of mobile is affecting recruitment, or will affect recruitment in the future?
So this is probably my favorite thing to explore. When I step into an organization that still has what I'll call an archaic social media policy that says employees can't do this or they can't do that, if anyone inside the organization still believes that those policies are preventing the employees from doing that, they're probably delusional. The vast majority of professionals do have access to a smartphone in the workplace, and that smartphone is enabling them to do things that may be counter to social media policy in enterprise. Engaging in job search or career networking is certainly one of those things. While I may not go to a job board for my work PC, I'm still going to see some of the social job announcements that my friends are sharing with me via Facebook.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much for speaking to me.
You bet.